Okay, let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Shanoli Ray. I'm the founder of EDVISHAN. EDVISHAN is a global learning and skills training platform. We have both online and offline mode of various kind of training that caters to starting from the students to educators, professionals, and others. And we also have our website where our courses been uploaded. Anybody can access that courses. This is a self-paced mode courses. Apart from that, I am a certified coach, mentor, and coach, mentor, and master trainer. Also working as principal of a CBSE school. This is a brief introduction of me. So today we have gathered here for a session on presentation skill. So there are many students who have enrolled for today's session. So can anyone tell me what do you mean by presentation? What is the words that come to you when you talk about presentation? What is presentation? Which word can you correlate with presentation?
How we can express ourselves.
Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, communication. Okay, is my PPT visible? No. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So when we talk about presentation, the first thing that comes into our mind is communication. How can we communicate? So now let us know in details what are presentation skills. So presentation skills are the abilities that enables an individual to present his or her thoughts, information, knowledge in a proper and presentable way. It includes the transmission of messages, interaction with audience, try to interpret the mindset of listeners through interaction. It shows how you can put yourself in front of audience and influence them with your communication skills. So, what is presentation skill? It is your ability to convey your information, knowledge, message in proper way to a group of people. Now, purpose of presentation skills. What is the purpose? Why do we need presentation skills? Convey something you want the audience to know. Tailor information to meet the needs of a particular audience. Provide a forum for discussion of controversial or challenging idea. Find out how people are reacting to a situation or an idea. Gain commitment and alignment and provide a call to action. So presentation not only means you are delivering something, it is a two-way method. That means you will involve your audience into during your presentation so that you can share ideas or discuss things. Okay. Next is what are the objectives of presentation skills? There are 6 objectives: inform, inspire, entertain, demonstrate, prove, persuade. Means you will give some information. Through your information, people can be educated or inspired or can be entertained. You have to demonstrate your presentation through various kind of aids. You have to prove whatever you are demonstrating or saying, you have to prove that this is actually real. And persuade means you have to convince your audience about your message. Okay, so all these are objectives of any kind of presentation. Now, importance of presentation skills. Why presentation skill is required in today's world? Because nowadays we have seen there are rapid changes occurring all over the world. So, especially not only it's for educators or students, but in all the industry, Presentation is a key part of any organization. So that is why everyone should have proper presentation skills. Effective communication skills are powerful career activator. Next is most of us are called upon to communicate in some type of formal presentation mode at some point along the way. Hence, it is essential for the professionals to understand the audience. And good presentation skills enable an individual to mold his or her message according to the traits of the audience. This increases the probability of successful transmission of messages. That means if you are a good presenter, you can share your message to the audience in proper way. Business professionals, educators, students have to arrange seminars and give presentations frequently. Having good presentation skills not only increases an individual's chances of success, but also enable them to add values to the organization. They help an individual in enhancing his growth opportunities. It also grooms the personality of the presenter and elevates their levels of confidence. Any leader must be able to give good presentation. They are always interacting with people and team members, and they promote plans and goals in front of investors, giving interviews on channels, or simply making YouTube videos. So in whatever way you give presentation, you need the presentation skills. So finally, we can say why it is important. It helps you getting your ideas across your audience. Second, it gives you confidence when you can present your ideas in front of a group of people and you can convince them. It will boost up your confidence. It makes you successful, whether in an organization or individually. Suppose I gave you one example. Suppose you are running an YouTube channel. If you cannot give presentation properly, you cannot be successful. So it makes you successful, bestows respect and recognition, makes an edge over competition. The more good ways you can deliver your messages, you have the edge over other competitors. You have the more success rate than other competitors, and great asset for career advancement. So these are the importance of presentation skills. Now, where do presentation skills have an impact in the workplace? First, at interviews as the interviewer or interviewee. So in both sides, who is taking interview and who is giving interview, both are needed good communication skill and presentation skill. At meetings, face-to-face or in conference call, speaking to colleagues and staff, speaking at large internal meetings, speaking with clients, speaking at Chamber of Commerce or Rotary, promoting your business, delivering a presentation to clients detailing a technical topic or selling a product, attending training. So these are the places where every day we have to deal with various kind of presentation. And that is why we require to sharpen our presentation skills. Next, let us know what are business presentation skills. Presentation skills are key to business success. Presenting information clearly and effectively is a fundamental skill in getting your message or opinion across. Through presentation, you can show your company's mission, vision to the target clients or audiences. Presentation is the best way to make them visualize all the data of the company that you want to share with them. Okay, so that is why in business, presentation is the utmost requirement. Through presentation only, you can showcase your company to a large number of audience. Next is the digital revolution has revolutionized the way people want to receive information. Hence, the latest trend is what people expect presentation that are most visually interesting. So they expect to see more data metrics that support assertions. And now with so many meetings occurring virtually, there's an entirely new level of technical preparedness required. So these days we have to prepare ourselves to take presentation both virtually and in-person mode. So accordingly, we have to groom ourselves. Next example of business presentation skills. When a supervisor introduces a new agenda, challenge, solution, or proposal during a meeting, this is often a demonstration. So this is a kind of presentation. It is a demonstration where a team manager explains the agenda through a PowerPoint presentation. Every presentation is a form of communication, and being able to communicate in meeting, ads, discussions, events, services necessitates presenting skills. So even when we are talking with our colleagues or in a group of people, with our relatives, everywhere, whenever we are communicating with people, we need to have the proper presentation skill to convey our messages properly. Presentation skills are the ingredient that transforms mediocre details or products or speeches or writing into excellent. In industry, presentation skills refer to how you present, introduce, explain your products and services to consumers, both online and offline, with the use of a website, photographs, social media, on the shop counter, among other things. So we make presentation through websites, photographs, journals, various social media platforms, and also in the shop these days, various advertisements are also displayed so that people get to know about any product. Now, what are the key elements of presentations? A presentation ecosystem has three main elements: message, visuals, and delivery. So what are the message you want to share with your audience? How you are delivering the messages, that includes mostly visual, like PowerPoint presentation, charts, graphics, all these include. And after the delivery of your message, you always have to give some handouts so that people can remember whatever you have delivered or remember your organization or the product. Next, let us know the 3 P's of presentation. These are the module of any presentation. 3 P's are products, people, and process. Already I have discussed, you always have to showcase certain kind of product through your presentation. Right now, I am presenting something to you. That means I am showcasing something. How we organize our training session, a part of it I am trying to share with you. Now the people whom we are sharing our presentation, our target audience, and the process, the way we deliver our presentation. So these are the 3 P's of presentation. Whenever we will be presenting anything, we have to keep it in mind that these 3 P's meet the objectives. Next, structure of a presentation. A presentation always have 3 structures. First is the introduction part, second is the body part, and third is the conclusion part. So whenever you are preparing your presentation, you have to keep in mind that the presentation must follow these 3 series. So how you will do the structure? First, opening part will consist of 10% of your presentation, where you will introduce yourself, outline your topic, briefly cover the key points, mention when you plan to take questions. Okay, next is the body, that is 70%. The detailed content of your presentation. Through this presentation, you will develop your key points, elaborate an argument or idea, provide supporting evidence. And last part, 20%, that is the closing part. There, you will indicate that you are about to finish. So reiterate your main points. Always sum up and reiterate the main points, whatever you have delivered. Next, always there should be a question answer or feedback session. at the end of your presentation. Please put your mic off. Now let's come how to deliver a presentation. Why we require a good presentation? If you want people to understand your work, be interested in your work, and think that you are great. So if you want to inspire people, or if you want to get recognized through your speeches or communication or presentation, then you have to make a good presentation. And what happens if you give a bad one? Few pay attention, they may fall asleep or might think that your work is not important. So that is why you have to always be prepared to deliver a very good presentation so that you can attract more people towards you. Now, effective presentation techniques have 6 parts. Okay? These are planning, preparation, audience, content, language and delivery, and feedback. So how you will give an effective presentation, that we will discuss now. So you have to follow these 6 steps to make your presentation best. So first, let us come to planning. The very first step is to plan what you want to convey. Presentation should be such designed that it will fulfill speakers' goals and meet audience's needs. You have to research about your target audience, strategize a strong content of the subject matter of presentations. So these are the 4 planning you require before making any presentation. Who are my audience? So accordingly, you have to strategize your content. For example, after planning, you have to ensure what is the objective of your presentation. A business presentation has always 3 objectives: to sell a product, to sell a service, to sell an idea. So the way you will present the content or your presentation should fulfill all these 3 objectives. Okay, so whatever may be your presentation audience or your presentation criteria, you have to plan it beforehand so that the objective of the presentation is fulfilled. Now, after you plan your presentation, you have to prepare yourself. But before that, you have to have a knowledge what types of presentation you are going to give. Suppose there are 6 types of presentations: persuasive presentation, informative presentation, motivational presentation, training presentation, goodwill presentation, multipurpose presentation. So generally, any kind of presentation comes under in these 6 categories. So you have to know that which kind of presentation you are going to deliver. First is persuasive presentation. These are presentations where you might attempt to convince the audience to buy your product or service, to support your goals or concepts, or to change their minds or attitudes in a business field. A supervisor may make a presentation on teamwork in order to motivate employees to support new cooperative efforts within the company structure. So persuasive means you have to convince about certain product or service, or sometimes it may be fundraising. So these type of presentation would be persuasive presentation. You have to convince your audience to support you. Next is informative presentation. Informative presentations can be divided into 2 distinct categories: reporting and explaining. A reporting presentation brings the audience up to date on projects or events. The explanatory presentation offers information about products and procedures, rules and regulations, operations, business settings. This might involve a supervisor explaining new forms, products, regulations, or filling procedures to employees. So you are giving information there. So you need not to convince somebody to support your goal. Your work is to deliver the message to the audience. Next is motivational presentation. Motivational presenters are expected to know what makes the audience tick and zero in on their emotions. They also are expected to use high energy presentation tactics in order to capture and hold the audience's attention for the entire message. So these days we know that motivational presentation is on a high rise. You have people are motivating others and they get many supporters and followers because they take on the emotion of the audience. So that is how, while giving motivational presentation, you have to strategize your content. Next is training presentation. Training a team of new recruits to your company or delivering a webinar on a topic in your industry to pull off a training session, webinar, any kind of coaching session. Like now I am delivering a training presentation. So that content should be different. Lastly is a Goodwill presentation. Departments, units, or teams within a business organization are often rewarded for their success at meetings where their stellar work is showcased. Each of these events more or less includes some kind of presentation, most often in the form of a speech or sometimes with a slideshow, video, multimedia event. The purpose of Goodwill presentation for peers, colleagues, and superiors is quite obvious: to establish goodwill, to make people feel good about themselves, and to build respect for the organization. So goodwill, the name shows it, that it is a feel good presentation where you are being appreciated for your work, the success stories, and all these things. Lastly, multi-purpose presentation. Most times presentations have more than one purpose. A presentation to employees may be announced as an informative session on how new regulations, but it in fact may also be an all-out effort to ginger up workers to buy into the new rules. An introductory presentation about new software programs may be a not so subtle nudge to those employers who have been slow to adapt to the new programs. So it generally happens inside an organization. Sometimes what happens, there is only one meeting is called on and their multi-purpose presentation. Introduction of new employees or introduction of software program, along with that presentation about the rules and regulations or new methods that has been incorporated in the organization. So mixed of all kind of presentation happens in one meeting. So that is multi-purpose presentation. So whatever presentation you are going to deliver, accordingly you have to strategize your content and you have to prepare yourself. Now, the most suitable mode of presentation should be selected depending on the type of presentation and audience. As I have mentioned, the target audience for each kind of presentation is always different. So you have to keep in mind what kind of presentation you are going to deliver and who are your audience. Accordingly, you have to prepare yourself. Calculations should be there on the duration of the presentation. Time schedule should be maintained. Okay? The supporting materials for presentation must be ready and presenters should be well learned about the topic. So whichever topic you are going to deliver, you have to have proper knowledge about that topic. Next, prepare a strong opening and closing of your presentation. That is a must. The opening part and the closing part. Make a good and proper introduction to the subject matter of presentation. Use variety of visual aids to make the presentation interesting. Have brief notes on postcard-sized cards and practice beforehand in front of a mirror. So always use these kind of things like a variety of visual aids. The more you can use, the better. Next, always keep postcard size cards to make some notes, and always try to practice beforehand in front of a mirror so that you can see your own body language, your gesture, or your speaking facial expression. So it's always better to practice beforehand. Now, next is audience. The mode of presentation depends on the target audience. Get knowledge of your target audience. The content and tone should be apt to the audience. The presenter should be able to convince the target audience about the relevance of the topic, product, work, or proposal. So the main motive of presenting is you will deliver your message to a group of people. These are your audience. So you always have to have good idea about who are your audience. If you cannot have proper research about your audience, whatever way you try, you cannot deliver your message in proper way. Next comes the content of the presentation. Study or research about your topic deeply. Include important points and information. Because sometimes what happens, you are starting your presentation content, and if you do not research properly when you are delivering the presentation, some new things have happened which you have forgotten to include in your presentations. So you always keep in mind that even before the presentation, always check on the latest happenings regarding your topic so that you can give some input about these things. Make different techniques to explain different part of the topics. Sequence the ideas. Focus on subject matter and show enthusiasm. The thing is that if the presenter itself or himself or herself is not enthusiastic about presenting the topic, the audience does not feel the vibe. Okay? So always a presenter should be enthusiastic about whichever way they are presenting. And second is sequentially presentation should be made. It should not be haphazard. Next comes the language and delivery. The choice of words must be in tone with the subject matter and audience capacity. So while making your presentation, you have to think about who are your audience, and accordingly you have to make the word choice. Avoid difficult and technical words. In any presentation, it is always necessary that you deliver the presentation in a simple way, as simple as possible, so that you can reach to maximum people. The speaker should control the speed of presentation. Pause between presentation. Sometimes what happens, a presenters just rush to complete the presentation, and it happens that most of the audience cannot follow what is being presented. So that is why at the beginning you have to think about your time limit, and accordingly you have to make the presentation so that you have pause, you can control the speed of your presentation, and the audience can understand. Audience should be treated well. You can never be bad mouth to the audience if they interfere or ask questions or anything. Be interactive and speak clearly. Next is nonverbal communication. We just now declare about how you will speak in your presentation, but there are another type of communication that is nonverbal. That means your body language. Your body language plays a vital role in presentation skills. Try to be relaxed and natural. So if you yourself get less confident or you are not behaving the normal way you behave, what happens? It affects your presentation delivery. And smile, whatever way you are delivering, if you have a smiling face, this builds your own confidence and you can have a good rapport with your audience immediately. Make an eye contact with the audience. Your facial expressions should match with your words. Don't let anything distract you. So as I have earlier explained, that is why you need to prepare your presentation in front of a mirror so that you yourself can see your facial expressions and accordingly you can rectify yourself. Last is feedback. Presenter should obtain feedback from the audience during and after the presentation. Keep a question answer session at the end of presentation. It helps to build rapport with the audience, and feedback can also be used to improve presentation skills in future. I have already explained that the last 20% of your presentation should have certain kind of feedback session, question answer session, discussion, anything, so that you can directly interact with your audience. It should always be both sided. So they can share their ideas. They are free to ask questions. Even you can ask them question, and that is how there is always a building of rapport between the presenter and the audience. And this helps in the long run because the audience get to know you well, and you also have an idea about your audience, and later on this builds a relationship in business or in any other mode. So that is how you should always keep a time for feedback session or question answer session at the end. So this is all about. Let's again summarize the do's of presenting. It is always said that practice makes perfect. So the more you practice presentation, you can, as I'm especially talking to the students or freshers, because many students have enrolled for today's session, that as you are fresher or new in this presenting yourself, so the more you can practice at home, taking various kinds of topics, the more you will be perfect in presenting yourself. Second is introduce yourself. The introduction part is very important. How you introduce yourself, what message you are telling about yourself, that makes an impact to the audience. Next is eye contact. Apart from this online, especially when in online mode, it's not always possible to make eye contact. But in offline or in in-person mode, whenever you are presenting, always make eye contact with your audience. So whenever there is direct eye contact, there is always a relationship builds happen. Use props. The variety of props or variety of visuals, it's not only visuals, there should be other interactions, question answers, debates, games, whatever way you can make your presentation, the better. The more you use props, the more better it is. And ask questions. It is the utmost thing that at the end you should ask questions, and the audience is also given a chance to ask you question to discuss the things. So this is all about presentation in a nutshell. Now I was talking about EDVISHAN. EDVISHAN has now started its Noida branch also, where we provide different kind of services. This training programs, kids activity programs, music, dance, sports activity center, everything is there in EDVISHAN Noida branch. Apart from that, our service is accessible to people all around the world. We provide a certificate and diploma course on business presentation skills. You can find that in our website, that is www.edvishan.com. There are various types of course, short and long. For certificate and diploma, separate criteria is there. And the feature of our service is that it is accessible to any people, anybody who wants to learn, both in our offline mode and online mode. There is no age criteria. So everybody can access the things anytime, anywhere. Here is the content for diploma in presentation skill. For diploma, you will have a detailed content explanation. Okay? And certificate, particularly if you complete one module, you will be receiving one kind of certificate for that. Now, let us conclude that in today's world, presenting yourself, your thoughts in a proper manner are very important. How you present yourself during interviews, social gatherings, or corporate sector values a lot. So everyone should be prepared for any and try to implement in own lifestyle. It will help an individual to grow personally as well as professionally. So as I mentioned, that presentation is not only required for business purpose. For your individual growth, it is required. How you are dealing. Suppose even a homemaker, how she is dealing with her family, how she is presenting herself in front of the relatives, how you are presenting yourself in front of your colleagues, in front of your peers. All that matters. If you do not have a proper presentation skill, you cannot express yourself properly. So not only for business purpose or professional purpose, for your personal growth also, proper presentation skill is always required. So that is why you should always have a good presentation skill. So that's all for today. Thank you so much. Now we will have the session. As I have mentioned, I should have complete my presentation on time so that we can have an interactive session. It is open to all the audience. If you have any query, any kind of question, anything you can discuss, or you can share your ideas, your views, you are always welcome. Another thing, we will share one feedback form in the group by tomorrow. So you all have to, you must, it is